Another thing just to mention, many years back, I forget the year, in Los Angeles, there was some deviation from the path. It really wasn't deviation from the path. It was going ahead on the path, getting ahead of oneself. And it got earmarked or tagged as the Gopi Bhav Club. And from that day to this day, I mean, just mention that word, and you can get half a dozen sannyasis coming down on you like a hurricane, a tempest, just railing on Gopi Bhav. If you count the Bij mantra, there's only 4 words in the sannyas mantra. 4 words. The central word is Gopi Bhav. The sannyas mantra is Ragamarg. It's a Gopi Bhav marg. But yet, so much railing against the Gopi Bhav. Total misunderstanding there. These same sannyasis will say sannyas is just external.
It's just for preaching.
It's just for preaching. Well, if it's just for preaching, why do you need this Gopi Bhav mantra? Why is this mantra given to you? And partially, like I was saying, it's because of neglect. Focusing too much on the external, totally ignoring the substance. And the second reason we'll get around to is Vaishnava Aparad. These 2 things, well, pretty much you're not going to make it if you're all about the external, and particularly if you're making Vaishnava Aparad. And remember, over 100 sannyasis from the West have fallen down. Gaudiya Math, Bhaktisiddhanta had one sannyasi, one who gave up the sannyas. One. And in the Madhva Sampradaya, I think in 700 years there have been 2 or 3. A nominal number.
Yeah, 4, I think 4 maybe.
Yeah, who have retired. And they give the sannyas to the children when they're 6 years old. So then when reaching adulthood, well, so I guess some of their astrological calculations were wrong, and they retired. In 700 years, 3, 4, 5, say it's a dozen even, all right? Ramanujas, I have very little information, and if you told me 0, well, I would believe it, because the Ramanujas, to take sannyas, you have had to have been brahmachari, grihasta, and vanaprastha. In other words, for the most part, the Ramanujan sannyasis are already old men, and there isn't really much to fall down to at that time. But in ISKCON, over 100. Is something wrong here? Well, could be. All right. So, I mentioned that. So, even recently, I would have to say a senior disciple, at least in age, of Srila Prabhupada, went on record as saying there is no such thing as a sannyas parampara. You see. So, this isn't correct. When we think of parampara, we usually just think of diksha. We never think of shiksha. We think of diksha. But then years go by, we mature a little bit, we go a little deeper into the subject, and we find out, yeah, diksha, but we happen to be a shiksha parampara. So with, if someone has trouble accepting that, then they need to do a little bit more study. They need to do a little bit reading and see how your diksha goes in the list of the parampara and all these things, and you'll find out that these people are not. For example, on the altar there's Bhaktivinoda, and there's Gaurkishore, and there's Jagannath Das Babaji, and so many people think, well, Gaurkishore took initiation from Bhaktivinoda. No, he didn't.
Yeah.
Huh?
No, that's what I'm saying. They all think he took initiation from Bhaktivinoda. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone thinks he took initiation from Bhaktivinoda. No, he did not. Did he take shiksha from Bhaktivinoda? Yes, he did. So Diksha is there, but we are predominantly it's called Bhagavad Sampradaya. It's a Shiksha Sampradaya. Mm-hmm. So you wouldn't consider offending your guru's Shiksha guru, would you? No. Also, let me just put here before we kind of bring this to a head. There's a quote from Shankaracharya. Did you get that verse, or it's from the Puranas?
It's from Padma Purana.
Okay, do you have that verse?
Yeah, it's a Sampradaya Bihinaye Mantraste Nishphalamata. He says that a mantra must be received within a Sampradaya. Okay. Otherwise it's useless.
Within a Sampradaya. So someone will say that, yes, I received my sannyas from Srila Prabhupada, and he's in the Sampradaya, so my mantra is received from Prabhupada. Well, that's fine. But now you're talking about a mantra, you see. Now you receive Harinam because Prabhupada received Harinam from Bhaktisiddhanta, and Bhaktisiddhanta received Harinam from Bhaktivinoda. He didn't receive Harinam from Gaurakishore. That's another crossover, twisting how it goes. But just look in the immediate. You receive Harinam from Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami, or from one of his disciples because he received from Prabhupada because he received. So what you receive is in a parampara. So back in the day, someone takes sannyas from a disciple of Prabhupada, you see. So he receives a mantra. So you want to follow that parampara for the sannyas mantra. Well, you could say, so where did he receive it? Well, in many cases, he received it from a godbrother. Right. Because there were only 57 sannyasis of Srila Prabhupada, and there's, I think, only 6 or 7 of us who are still last men standing, so to speak. So anyway, I'm trying to get our listeners to follow this idea. So you follow the parampara. You took sannyas from a godbrother. Okay, where did he where did he get the sannyas mantra? Well, in some cases, he took sannyas from a godbrother. All right. And then it finally gets back to a godbrother who took sannyas from Srila Prabhupada. So the mantra is from Prabhupada to his disciple, and then through 2 or 3 godbrothers, the mantra is being passed down. Well, that's all fine. But this is also one of the problems that the Hare Krishna movement faces. When they trace something, they only trace it back to Srila Prabhupada, and they say, okay, we got it. And in doing so, a lot of times, no, they don't got it. It's called bastardizing the Sampradaya and separating Prabhupada from a parampara. And there's some fear about looking back to the Param Guru. But in the present time, you would look to your Param Guru because that's Srila Prabhupada. But for a Prabhupada disciple, they hesitate to look back to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, who is their Param Guru. So today, the second generation will look to their Param Guru. That's Srila Prabhupada. But Prabhupada's disciples himself, they're fearful, or they hesitate to look to their Param Guru. And that is across the board in all issues, in all the issues. But we're just following the sannyas mantra. All right, so then we say, well, the Prabhupada received his mantra from Bhaktisiddhanta. No, he did not. He did not take sannyas from Bhaktisiddhanta. He took sannyas from Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj. So, okay. So the parampara of Prabhupada's sannyas mantra goes to Keshav Maharaj. Then, from Keshav Maharaj took sannyas from his godbrother, Srila Sridhara Maharaj. All right, now the sannyas mantra, parampara, goes to Sridhara Maharaj. And then you have Sridhara Maharaj receive sannyas in 1933, I believe it was 1933, from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, who is the origin of the sannyas parampara and Gaudiya Vaishnavism today. So that's the parampara of the sannyas. But when you just look at the externals, that's all you have is a list of names. But when you consider the mantra, well, it's something more than just external. Now you add to the fact of how many offenses have been committed to Prabhupada's sannyas guru and Prabhupada's param sannyas guru, Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And you can understand pretty much why, well, Let's just say it as it is. The sannyasis of the day have a dead mantra in their ear and a dead mantra on their lips. One, because they don't even recognize that there is an internal meaning or an internal purpose. Internal, I'm talking about spiritual substance to the order of sannyas and the mantra. So right there, even if disregarding offenses, where are they going to go with this? They're not going to go anywhere. It's just external. It's just external. And you know what? Anyone can preach. A kid can preach. A householder can preach. Women can preach. Everybody can preach. So if it's just external, what's the purpose anyway?
Right.
Who cares? You see. But because of if there was no mantra, then I'd say, yes, it's external. That's all it is, external. And okay, no big deal. But because there is a deep, the deepest part, the raga marg is there and within the mantra. Therefore, it's paramount importance. And therefore, one has to regard the parampara of sannyas, and one cannot disregard it. And because of disregarding, then you don't have a parampara. Mm-hmm. Then you have, very similar to the smartas and others, you have this body connection, and you are passing on dead mantras. And because of dead mantras, no internal growth, no internal development, and the whole thing is external. What do you got to hang on to? Pratishta. Pratishta. You see? That's all it's there. Pratishta. Position. Recognition. This type of a thing. So my godbrother, who was also involved in the changing of Srila Prabhupada's books and all these things, just further demonstrates how little substance he has, as well as those in his committees and all this, how little spiritual substance is actually that they actually have or is actually understood by them. And they will say, no, there's no such thing as sannyas parampara. It doesn't matter who you take sannyas from. I tell you what, if there's somebody and they've got Harinam in ISKCON and their guru falls down, poof, like hawks from the sky, they will swoop in on them to reinitiate them. You know, even saying, your spiritual life is on the line, you better take reinitiation, you see. Into what? Chanting Hare Krishna, a mantra. They'll say reinitiation. But so many of the sannyasis marching around the world today, their sannyas gurus have fallen down, no longer present. In fact, I think some of the biggest in terms of numbers, not all, but some of the biggest in terms of numbers on the planet today, their sannyas guru isn't any more present in Krishna consciousness, had fallen down in Krishna consciousness. Yet they will give sannyas to their disciples and pass on the same mantra. What they're passing on is a dead mantra.